Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I have some Dollar Tree DIYs. For this first DIY, I have two of the smaller size house shadow boxes from Dollar Tree, and I'm just taking the back off one of them, and then I'm sanding off all the extra paper that was glued to the back of it. And then I have some scrapbook paper, and I'm just going to trace. I traced around the outside, but then I remembered it's supposed to be in the middle, and I do that twice for each shadow box, and then I just cut it out with some scissors. I'll cut the other one out off camera. So now that I've cut both out, I'm just checking that it fits alright inside, and it does. And then I just pull all the extra paper off this one. It doesn't matter for the other one because I'm not taking it apart. And then I'm going to use some Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue. And I'm going to glue the frame back onto the backing piece. I use a wee bit of hot glue as well, just to keep it in place while it sets. And then I'll wipe away any extra glue. And then I'm going to join the two pieces together with the wood glue. And I'm using some of the clamps from Dollar Tree to hold it together tightly until it sets. And then I stained it with the Early American Wood stain. And I'm going to use some plaster Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to use the chalk paint because I made a stencil on my Cricut. I'm just going to transfer it to the piece of scrapbook paper, and it is a sun and a moon. And you can use any image you want for this. This is just the things that I like, and I couldn't get it to line up properly. That transfer paper, I do like it, but it's hard to see through it. I just peel off the transfer tape to reveal my stencil. And then this is where I'm going to use the plaster paint and a makeup sponge to dab the paint on. I've used the stencil vinyl before. I did try and use it today, but I just don't like it. I definitely prefer just using normal vinyl for this. And while it's still wet, I just peel off the vinyl. And then I just weed out the pieces inside. Sometimes the small pieces I wait until it dries, but this time I didn't. Remember, if you don't have a Cricut, you can always use stickers from Dollar Tree. They have so many nice ones now. They even have stencils. Not that I've found them, but I know that they have them. Next, I just use a glue stick to attach the scrapbook paper to the inside of frames. You can use hot glue or whatever if you want to for this, but I like using the glue stick. And make sure your stain is completely dry before you do this part, because in the corner, well, the side, it wasn't dry properly, and you can see, oh, you just seen it quickly there. You'll see it in a minute. It bled onto my scrapbook paper. I'm just making a hanger with some twine and a craft stick and some hot glue. And then I have some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to cover up where the two houses join in the middle with that. So now you can see where, oh wait, I'm just burning off the hairs. And now you can see where it bled So we're using that same ribbon, I'm just going to cut it in half. And you don't have to cut it in half, but I just wanted a small thin piece to cover that up. But you could use twine if you wanted to, like the thicker twine. So once I've cut that all in half, I just start hot gluing. And I start at the top corner so that you won't really notice it when I join it together. And I just hot glue it, just push it into the corners and then hot glue it to the sides. And I put the side that I cut facing in the way. No, facing towards the wood parts. Out the way then. And I did this for the top and the bottom parts, but I'll just show you the top part. I already put some beads on some skewers, and I just did like some big ones and some medium sized ones. So you can put them on whatever pattern you like, but just so long as they will fit in the space that you want to put them in. And then I just put a wee bit of hot glue just to hold them in place, and then I snipped off the ends. But when I stained them, the hot glue came off, so I had to glue them again. But then I stained them with the early American wood stain. And then now I'm just going to hot glue them in place. And I tried to make a pattern so that the big ones would be next to the medium ones, if that makes sense. And you can use whatever size bead you want for this. The tiny wee ones don't fit on the skewers, they're only at like the pointy end. And I did have to use a different skewer for each one of these, because I needed some of the small beads at the bottom. But anyway, I'll link the beads down below if you're interested in them. And this is how it turned out. I just love how those beads look. I think maybe I should have done the sun and the moon a darker colour, like a brown or something, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. What colour would you have made it? For this DIY, I already glued together 7 rows of 3 blocks, and then I'm just showing you me doing the last row, so you need 8 of these. And then I have 3 of the bigger size houses. I gave them 1 coat of Mountain Blue Apple Barrel paint, except I didn't paint the inside because I like the stripes on it, but you can paint that if you want to. And then I just took a sanding block that I got from Dollar Tree and then just lightly distressed the houses and the other pieces. I have some of the metal ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to measure and cut how much I'm going to need. And to do the 3 of them, 1 roll was enough, and I had a tiny wee bit left over. And you don't have to put the metal ribbon on all of the shells if you don't want to, but I wanted to put them on all of them. And it cuts really easy with some scissors. And to glue it down, I'm going to use some Scotch Maximum Strength adhesive, and you can use whatever one that you have. So they actually fit, the pattern fit perfectly from one end to the other, with the middle one on the point. Like, it fit perfect. I'm so tough with that. But I'm using clamps and a hammer, and I got this wee hammer on Amazon, so I'll link that down below as well. And I'm just using the hammer to flatten it and bend it around the corners. And then I'm putting the glue in the middle of the ribbon and then wiping away any excess, and then using the clamps from Dollar Tree to clamp it down. And then at the back ends, I just hammered the ends down because they are sharp. So you have to do this in stages. So I did all this and then left it to dry, and then I had to come in and do the other side, and I had to do that for all the trays. So this one does take time, although after I made it I thought, oh, maybe you could get like wee nails for this. So I ordered some wee nails from Amazon, so next time I use the ribbon, the metal ribbon, I will use them and see if it works. So next part, I'm using some super glue wood glue, and I'm going to glue all the tumbling tower blocks in place. And I'm gluing one in each corner. I did this for 2 of the trays and then I left them to set. There's different things you could use for this part. You could use, the square dowel rods, or you could use pieces of wood from Dollar Tree, and you could use paint sticks. You could always stick to the side instead of on the inside like this. So I didn't really let mine set for that long. So I thought I would turn it on the side, and I thought if I put a paintbrush underneath it just to hold those legs up, I could put it in place. I almost put the wrong one on, but it didn't really work. So I just turned it up and put it on like that. And just eyeballed eyeballed it to try and make sure it was as straight as I could get it. And then I didn't show it, but I put some Mod Podge on the top, a bottle of Mod Podge, just because it was heavy to till everything set. And this is how it turned out, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I love the blue and the silver ribbon. I was going to make this black, and I'm so glad that I made it blue instead. And you can have this as wee shelves, or you could make it into a planter. I have 4 snakes from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to saw off the heads and the tails with my wee saw, which I'll link down below. And I just sawed them right where the head ends and where the tail ends, because you need all those. And I just do that with, I thought I could pull it off there, but there's too much glue on it. And I just do that for all 4 of the snakes. And I'm using the Dollar Tree super glue wood glue. And then I'm going to glue some half beads to the ends. You don't have to do this, but I think it makes it look more finished, and I'll link them down below as well. I only had 4 snakes, but if you wanted to make handles for your tray with the snakes, then I would get, I don't know if you would need 2 more or 1 more. You could probably use hot glue for this part, but I like using the wood glue. Just have to wait for it to dry. Now I have 5 packs of the large paint sticks, and you can get these in Lowe's or Home Depot for $1. And they already have it marked out to 14 inches, which is what we need. And I'm just gluing them together, but I'm making sure the bottom one, you can still see that it says 14 inches. So I'm going to need that to cut it later. So you just want to glue each pack So 3 together for each one, and then there's 5 packs. So you end up with 5 pieces. One, sign, and I just paint it front and back with some ink, Waverly chalk paint. So here's the sign, and I am going to glue the pieces onto the side that had the glitter on it, because you don't want to see that, even though you're not going to look at the bottom of the tray. So this is how I lay them out, and the tray, no, the sign, it's going to be a tray. The sign and the paint sticks and snakes were all the same length. I couldn't believe it. Oh, I forgot to say, I got my boyfriend to cut the paint sticks because it was really hard. So I just using the wood glue to glue them all. And I don't like unfinished wood, but I actually think this looks nice like that. But I do prefer it when it's stained, because then it doesn't look unfinished. And of course you could paint or stain this any colour that you wanted. And you could also put some hot glue on here if you wanted to as well. You could probably hot glue all this part. You could also stain all the pieces or paint them before you glue them together if you wanted to. And then after I put the last piece on, I turned it over, and then I put some of the larger half beads on the bottom for legs. Not legs, feet. And then I decided, since I didn't have any handles, I would put some more of the half beads on it and make it look more finished. So I just glue them on with the wood glue as well, and then I always wipe away any excess. And then I stained it with the Early American wood stain by Minwax, and this is how it turned out, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I definitely would like to see it in other colours and see what it looked like, but Early American's my new favourite, so everything's getting stained with that. I'm using some super glue wood glue for this DIY, and I'm also using the pieces that I cut off the paint sticks. So there's 12 of them all together, and I'm just going to fit them together like this with them overlapping. And I did use the wood glue and hot glue, and I pushed them together. So you don't want to do that because although they look wonky, it made it even wonkier. So on the next two, I'll show you that I just glued them, and then with the wood glue, and then I just left them to set. Yeah, see, this bit wouldn't close. It was too big a gap. Even though they're all going to have gaps, that was too big a gap. And then I tried to get it to stick together, but it wouldn't. I even tried the Mod Podge, but that didn't really work either. So now I just put a wee bit of the wood glue on, and then put them in place, and then left them to set. But I thought I would just use up these pieces now while I showed you that I cut them off. Actually, I didn't show you that part because I'm a wee weakling and I couldn't do it. I was gonna saw them all separately, and then I thought it's too much work, I'll just do them once they're all glued together. So I don't know, it's up to you which way you want to do it. So yeah, when you put them like this, you just leave them set, they definitely turned out much better. And now I decided to leave one plain, and then for this one I'm putting 4 of the larger wood beads on, and then for this one I'm going to do 3 different sizes. Actually no, I just love the wood beads. I just want to put them on everything. And actually, no surprise, the one with the wood beads, well, the 3 different sizes, and that frame I like the best. So once they were dry, the wood glue was dry, I just went in and put some hot glue in the gaps. And then I have 3 of these wooden squares from Dollar Tree. I think they're like 5 inches. So I'm just going to hot glue them to the back because I was going to do wood glue and then I thought it was going to take forever to set. So I just hot glued those pieces. And then if you put enough hot glue on, they should stay in place. And then if you put them all, do not playing around with them, it should hold. And then after I had put all these on the back, I decided to make a hanger with a piece of twine and a popsicle stick, and I just hot glued it to the back. I'm only going to show you one, but I did that for all 3 of them. And then I stained them with the early American Minwax wood stain, and then this is what they look like after they've been stained. And I decided to just put some of the Dollar Tree vinyl on this one. I couldn't get it centered. You could put that on before you glue it on, but I still wasn't sure what I was going to do with these when I made them. And then I just printed off an R, and I'm just going to stick that down. And for the next one, I printed off this heart that has like wee flowers in it, and I used some blue vinyl. And it didn't want to stick to the transfer tape, and then it didn't want to stick to the frame. But it's the Cricut vinyl and transfer tape, which I don't really like, but I wanted to use the blue colour. So I had trouble sticking it down, and I don't know, I just always have problems with the Cricut vinyl and transfer tape. So I also printed off the word home, and I will stick that down in the middle of the heart. I just have to stick down some of the pieces. And I just weeding out the home. Wasn't sure if I was going to put it on it, but then I decided to. And it just came off so easy there. But that's the Dollar Tree vinyl. Oh, I started pulling up all the blue vinyl. But I got it off eventually. And for this last one, I printed off this Book of Wildflowers, and I'm using some of the Dollar Tree vinyl again, and the other transfer tape. And this is yellow. I did want to make a stencil with this, but it didn't work. So I decided just to use some yellow vinyl. And it was a wee bit fiddly, because I don't think you're supposed to make these pictures so small, but if I see something I like, I just gotta use it, no matter how big or small it is. And then I decided to put some of the wee roses from Dollar Tree in the corners of this one. I'm putting the pink roses, and then I'm putting the yellow ones and some of the greenery from the roses on the other picture. And you can always use Dollar Tree scrapbook paper on the wallpaper and the stickers to decorate these. I'll finish gluing this on off camera. And this is how the three of them turned out. And definitely like the frame with all the wood beads on it the best. But let me know which of these DIYs is your favourite. I think mine's is the blue shells. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.